final destination. So obviously great performance already by both of them once more back-to-back. But both of them want to make it to the grand finals. In the top right side of Stargazers, we are looking at the main base of arguably the best StarCraft 2 player of all time. Representing on site, give it up for Maru.
And spawning over in the top left, once known as a smiling assassin, it is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's herO.
I love how quickly they get so hard on themselves. Like herO hasn't even been back for all that long. Obviously had a fantastic year, becoming the first Pro Tools GSL Kodas.
And he's talking about slumping.
In forever. He's like, man, I'm in a slump right now. I was like, okay, herO, you haven't won every single tournament. You didn't manage to win GSL Kodas Season 3. And of course, these two actually ran into each other in the lower bracket of an amazing tournament we had earlier this year. That was the Team Liquid Star League number 9. And unfortunately, they started in the lower bracket, so they both flew from Korea, started in the lower bracket, and back then it was Maru who eliminated herO. Wasn't the best series, it was fun, it was close, but it was kind of like the games just ended rather quickly. And I hope today that we don't get to see too much of that, because I really want to see these two just go at it in 15+ minute games.
Yeah, these two are building
Oh my goodness,
he's already spicy, mate. Taking the 6 o'clock base here at this gold base. This is what you want to see from herO. Like, Maru was aware of it, that this guy can play crazy, but he was thinking crazy aggressive, not like this. And when you are scouting your opponent, you get to see what's going on, which he's only going to do that with a Reaper, right? You're already going to start thinking, all right, what's this mad lad up to?
I would actually be very worried, right? Because the Reaper is obviously not going to run straight to the gold. It will most likely run into the main base. By the time that this Reaper arrives in main base, as Stargazers, from your ramp, where the barracks is, all the way deep into the main base of herO, that actually takes a little while, as the Reaper is going to go to the bottom, but it's just checking for proxies for now. But it's just going to be confusing. This is going to be one of these scouts that will actually work against Maru at first, and then it's all about how dialed in is Maru at the moment. Will he immediately realize something is wrong, and is he going to check the bottom side of the map, or is he going to misread this? Is he going to be worried about a pocket expand that has been mined out, right? Because there are many different ways to take this. I still don't think you normally ever, even if you're Maru, you just don't check the gold this quickly. I don't think that herO should be like, oh, here's my depth, let's fight at all costs. Because then it's almost like you're giving it away, right? Like, are you trying to hide something over there, mate?
I mean, the thing that's wily about this map in specific, it's got that pocket base in the back as well, where it's like, oh, you don't have that natural. You don't have this either. All right, what on earth is going on? This is where Maru's starting to think, all right, what's the potential here? He sees the Twilight. If he can get back there and see it blinking a little bit, then he's going to know, like, all right, it's not going to be Dark Templars and whatnot, but a probe kill from earlier as well at the tower. Not a bad start for Maru by any means, but is he aware of what's going on?
Yep, he saw the Twilight Council, and at that point you're like, herO is definitely the kind of guy to go for ultra quick DTs, but most of the time they still do that with a Nexus, because these kinds of builds, they just become a lot more all-in than they're supposed to. So I do have the feeling that at this point Maru is like, you know what, there is a chance he has the gold, but even if I think he has the gold, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. I absolutely love the call for Cloak Banshees here, because it's going to be very hard to get an observer at the bottom side of the map, and get an observer in the main base, and perhaps an observer on the other side of the map to actually see what the Terran player is doing. So Cloak Banshees actually have a lot of potential in games like this.
Even if you think about just the defensive capabilities, right? There's not going to be a robot on the field for quite some time. So if you can use that Banshee just to help out with the defense, because, oh my god, herO is a cheeky boy. So he's going for Blink Stalkers with this gold base to kind of power it up and get it up and going even faster, but then he's going for Dark Shrine very quickly after. This isn't the normal kind of Protoss play you see at all, but Maru will be aware that he is against a gold base now.
Yep, but it's not just the standard gold base, right? Because he actually sees a gas that's up and running here. So at this point you're like, that is a bit different. Because normally if you scout the gold as a Terran player, you're like, okay, I get it. You're going to go like 8 gates, Zealots, charge, and you're going to just try to completely overrun me. But if you scout the gold, then you're like, you've taken a gas as well, the gold. That actually complicates things a little bit, as this Cyclone is in a bit of a pickle. The Stalker could potentially blink forward, but herO feels that would be a wrong decision, as he's like, repair is pretty good. Probably has learned his lesson over time. You know?
Probably has. Better safe than sorry, especially in the semi-finals, right? And he has waited with that Banshee. He's kind of waiting for Cloak. And is he going to do the... He did the Zerg trick, right? Where you play against Zerg players, you cloak from a very far distance away. But there is going to be 4 Stalkers in the back here, but Maru more than prepared for this. Does give away that he has gone for Banshee tech here, though.
What is in the main base? Do we have a shield battery in the main base? Yes, we do. I actually think that the Banshee of Maru should go for the battery as the other Banshee runs into the Stalkers. Good job by Maru, excellent multitasking. He is indeed going for the battery. That's absolutely the correct call. You don't want to give Protoss players all the time in the world to get ready. And one Banshee actually falls or takes out a battery relatively quickly. And now herO is losing a lot of mining time. He's going to end up losing a handful of workers as well. And I already felt the Cloak Banshee had a lot of potential. In the end, it will fall, but I still think this is an excellent Banshee. And if herO had any sort of an economic lead because of that very quick gold base, well, I think it's safe to say that that is absolutely gone.
Blink DT coming online along with Charge. This is the kind of game that herO could turn this into something very short, but I'm totally with you. That Banshee also gave him the information that it was a Dark Shrine. It got right on top of that, got the full scout. And Maru, look at that. He's going for a nice, quick third CC with this. He's playing slow, he's playing steady. He's very safe, and you've always got to remember that gold base, even though it is a good pump to your economy, it lasts a lot less time than a normal base would. So Maru looks like he's just kind of going to slow down the game a little bit and be okay with this situation.
What was that map again that we had in the previous map, Ben, where the gold base had 8 mineral patches instead of 6? I'm always terrible with map names, but that is also something that we could keep in mind. This is not one of these gold bases where it's like, it has 8 mineral patches, it's absolutely insane. Like, no, a gold is really good because you can saturate it with less workers and you get a lot of income. But in the end, like a fully saturated blue mineral line with 8 patches is actually kind of close to the gold, and then on top of that, the gold runs out very quickly. So I don't think that herO is really getting too much value out of it yet, but these Dark Templars with Blink have some potential, but Maru is so damn good in keeping his Ravens alive. I really like that he went Cloak Banshees into Raven. Very slow approach, obviously means that medevacs are going to take a little while, but that's okay. Maru probably felt like, I'm not going to do any sort of crazy early move out. I do not want to get swallowed up by Blink Stalkers and Zealots when my army is small. I'm just going to play this one slow and steady. And if you want to defeat me, herO, you're going to have to do it in the mid game or the late game.
That was really good tank positioning, by the way. And he's moving things around those DTs, though. Those are two very vulnerable tanks over here. And oh, that's already a nice little snipe by him, aware of this third base going down as well. Maru getting into position. Is he going to reveal the Blink DTs? I mean, this is a bit wasteful, right?
I mean, he killed the tank but lost 2 Dark Templars, so I don't think Maru is going to be very upset about it. Now on top of that, Maru is 100% aware of the fact that Dark Templars are out on the map. I'd be lying if I say that I'm loving where this game is going for herO so far, but it is a very playable game. It seems that his transition is going to be the Robo Bay. Obviously, we are used to like seeing a couple of Colossus, and we all love the Colossus as an opener in PvT. But I'm not sure if this is really a Colossus game. I wouldn't even be too surprised if he fires up a couple of Disruptors immediately. As we do have one Dark Templar very casually making its way into the natural of Maru. But there is a tank and a Raven around to prevent this DT from finding too much success. You think it's going to be Colossus first?
I think it has to be, right? Although I see this army, and it's like you've got the counter to the Colossus and the Disruptor no matter what you make. hero's going to be very scared about this army coming across the field, because you got to remember, this is 1-1 as well with this army. Like, Zealots won't stand a chance. Does look like, oh, the DT comes and sneaks in again, kills a tank, kind of runs away, and he's very annoying over there.
Yep, that's beautiful. He's going to force Maru to use another scan. It will be Colossus at first, but herO's really going to need to Chrono Boost the hell out of those bad boys as he drops another Nexus as well. It almost feels that he's not taking this army of Maru very seriously. I kind of am, but Maru is obviously leaving a lot of units at home. But armies like this have game-ending potential. We've seen Bunny end a couple of PvTs, or TVPs rather, very early in his playoff run so far. Guardian Shield has been activated. The force fields are not fantastic. Only a couple of Terran units actually got squeezed away from the rest of the army. And herO is just buying time right now for that Colossus to come out. But it seems that the first Colossus that will come out is being built in the main base. So it takes a little while. And I honestly think herO can be very lucky that Maru didn't try to go for the gold. That would have been a lot harder. We do have a proper counterattack though. That's a decent amount of Zealots, and at the same time, herO feels that he can do something on his side of the map. I feel that Maru should be fine here with the amount of Wither Mines he has.
He should be fine. Had to pop all that energy on that Raven though, just to kind of save his middle army. Maybe a little bit premature there, but these Zealots, absolutely the winner here for herO in this little mishmash. maybe just prevented Maru from really focusing on the front there, but that Banshee, uncontested, going to take out one of the sentries. That's really big for the Guardian Shield lacking in the next fight.
We had triple sentry. All 3 sentries have fallen. Like, herO really got a bit overconfident there, I think, by chasing the army. Don't think he really found a lot of victories. Once more, I do think that Maru, if that army would have gone for the gold immediately, it would have been so hard, especially considering where the Colossus came from, right? herO was clearly trying to buy time for his Colossus to come out, but Maru is probably just feeling like, I've got 2 upgrades on the way, it's all good. herO is poking with the Colossus, his thermal lens is done. One interference matrix is going to scare this Protoss army away. herO wants to be very aggressive, and I like the idea of being aggressive, but he is economically behind, and it does not feel that this is the best Protoss army of all time, but he must really be very confident in the ability of the Immortals to just gun down the Marauders and the Colossus to gun down the Marines. We did just go from 0 to 4 Colossus, as a lot of the Colossus do get softened up by some leftover Widow Mines, but he is absolutely sending it, Ben, but the 2 upgrades are pretty much done for Maru, and I kind of think that herO is making a mistake.
I think so too. He's sticking around for a long time. I mean, this is his power spike, right? That is a lot of Colossus, but that is a big concave of bio already ready. That Immortal, that goes down. That army gets a lot more brittle. The Colossus still standing strong, but Maru, a nice sweep in from the Zealots on the right side, but Maru's supply still absolutely phenomenal here, and that was not the timing to attack, I feel, with those upgrades finishing.
It obviously always feels so tempting. Oh, okay, Maru is like, hey, these mines have been here for a little while. Let's go ahead and run them into the natural. herO is aware of it and does pick off one of them, but these mines are permanently cloaked.
Oh! 12 probes. That was lovely target fire. You saw herO leaving one probe behind there, but he was not fully aware. There's a lot going on right now. He is switching into Disruptors. Now, those units have caused a lot of trouble for Terran players in this tournament already, but this army, it can't stick around here for much longer. I know it's always nice to be aggressive because that's actually kind of a defense in a way. He's keeping Maru's army away, but I think he's outstayed his welcome a little bit here, and he knows it.
The upgrades are so good for Maru as well. We can't forget about the fact that these Colossus only have +1. +2 is finally close to finishing up. And even though one of these Purification Novas did connect, Maru is full of confidence. He is stimming to the other side of the map, and Protoss unit after Protoss unit is getting picked off. And I think herO knows that he is in all sorts of trouble. We're going to warp in a few more DTs on the other side of the map just to create some chaos, because obviously chaos often allows Protoss players to land Novas. But this is a Maru that came out to play so far. I honestly feel that Maru has played a pretty much flawless game 1 so far, Ben.
Flawless. And one thing that's actually in my head, it's like his reaction to that gold base, it was just like, all right, you're playing like that, I'm going to hunker down and play like me. And it's really paid off, right? Massively. And that gold base, I wonder what the saturation is like over it on it right now, because yeah, it's already gone. So herO back to basically a 3-base situation here, and it's only just got it up, and his probe count definitely suffering.
Yeah.
Oh, nice snipe.
One of the ghosts does get picked off, but these DTs are expensive if you're only working with 59 workers. We do know that herO is the kind of guy to absolutely make impossible comebacks happen. All it takes is a few good Novas, and then he can get his hands on another base, and we can take it from there. I just was a bit surprised as well that he was sticking around so long, but he only had +1. His upgrades were very underwhelming. You don't often see a Protoss having +1, Terran, 2-2. Like at that point, 4 Colossus looks fantastic if the Viking count is low, but Marauders don't really care, man, if they've got a 3 upgrade advantage over the Protoss army.
And Maru, he's played this game so opposite. Oh, okay, he's coming in from the top, a massive army. There's only 2 Disruptors in the mix. That's all his firepower gone. That was a nice chunky amount of Ghosts going down there. In fact, he had 2 more Disruptors. Forgive me there, but the Colossus is going to get chased down, and right now, all the damage in that army completely gone, and herO knows it. He has to get away. Maru also just chasing him down.
We have a battery here, so we can always pop overcharge as well if Maru really wants to go for it, but there's no need for Maru to take a crazy fight right now. A few more Novas, and those are the Novas that we are talking about. It felt that Maru was close to ending this game, and I do still think he's in an excellent position, but he needs to start paying a little more attention to these Novas as herO is finally getting some points on the board. I think herO just traded for like 4,000 resources more effectively over the last 90 seconds.
I think in this last minute or so, he's done better than he did the whole game with his cheeky stuff, and it's much thanks to these Disruptors. He's playing very good with them. This might be a bit too eager though, but again, just using 2 at a time, not being too over-eager about it, he's playing really annoying in these fights, and he's the one that his army's going to keep on getting bigger at this moment, right? Like, Maru's maxed out. This is about as good as it gets for him.
Almost every single fight up to that point did not go herO's way, and it really felt that he was moments away from being forced to tap out, but those Novas were good, and it's giving him a little bit of a lifeline Doesn't mean he's suddenly winning, absolutely not. But Maru is going to have to control his army a little bit better. The Disruptors are very exposed, and I think Maru is just going to go for it. He goes for a pickup on a couple of these medevacs. He's now forced to unload again, and herO's just getting great Nova after great Nova. And Maru can thank the Lord that Planetary Fortress is going strong. Otherwise, this would have actually become very problematic. Maru is struggling a little bit with the disruptive play of herO so far.
He certainly is. I mean, the pickups were nice, but that means all your damage has gone. Lovely pickup there, saving the Ghost. I mean, they're both microing beautifully in these engagements, but it's definitely herO that's closing the gap in terms of supplies. And now he's on +3 weapons. I mean, but Maru, again, he's about to hit 3-3. So even though herO's army is going to be dealing out a lot of damage, Maru's army is just able to take it a little bit better.
He's going very heavy on the goals. We have 6 goals at the moment. He's making 4 more. And it obviously means that the entire army is going to get EMP'd, but goals are not necessarily the dream unit against the Disruptors. It's kind of hard to run away from them. They're not great in getting on top of the Disruptors. Maru really needs to be a little bit careful because he was playing such a magnificent first game, but the last few minutes have been a bit brutal for him. The 8 Disruptors are just the majority of what's really the bane of his existence, what's really causing all the issues here. Maru setting up the flank, and he's going to go for it, man.
He certainly is. All the Disruptors are very exposed here. Big disruptor shots going out, but lovely snipes out of Maru. He stops all the Disruptors from shooting. He does lose the PF, but herO lost his entire army, and oh my goodness, look at those supplies. Maru was waiting for that moment, and what a wraparound by him, and I think he smells blood in the water.
herO did not have a good army to take out a Planetary. If you want to get in range of a Planetary, you need to have the kind of army that can kind of take it down in a couple of seconds.
A few Immortals in the mix and such.
He had 1 or 2 Immortals, but it just took way too long. Obviously, Maru did a great job with the repair, and herO gave himself a bit of hope in this first game that honestly was pretty brutal from the very beginning, but I think that is a mistake that he can absolutely not recover from. He's going to donate a few more units at the Planetary Fortress in the bottom right side, but Maru says repair is one hell of a drug. He's sieging up, but there is nothing to protect here. These units will go uncontested, as we do have a couple of Novas apparently. I guess those Disruptors still popped, and once more the connections are good. But as Letot said, the supply does not lie. Maru takes the 1-0 lead. And perhaps a little bit of a shaky mid-game once herO got his hands on 6 to 8 Disruptors. But the first 10 minutes, they were picture perfect coming out of this, man.
Absolutely, and the whole gameplay from herO going into it, Stargaze is the first map, I think he was hoping that Maru was going to play totally different. Like, you take that gold base, very often it's like, all right, how do I get ahead? How do I slow this down? But Maru was just like, you know what? I'm going to go cloak Banshees, and you talked about it, the bases are very far apart. Then he just went up to 3 CCs and just hunkered down, and you saw all the tech choice of herO beyond that as well. It's like, okay, blink, very fast DT, very fast charge. Like, he wanted to be aggressive, and it just played into everything that Maru wanted to do, because I think he was hoping that he moved out onto the map way faster than he did.
I think that what herO was hoping for is that Maru would have gone for one of these quick marine tank move outs, right, where Maru would panic and be like, oh no, you have the gold, I need to punish that immediately. But the world-class Protoss players are actually very good in then kiting, buying time, and eventually getting enough units out to punish the move out, and obviously then they're going to be very far economically ahead. If the Terran would have brought a couple of SCVs too. This was one of these fights that just did not work out for herO at all. I understand that you're confident with 4 Colossus against a man with only 2 Vikings, but the Colossus only have +1, the Bio had 2-2, and this was obviously a beautiful Widowmine shot where Maru knew that he did not have to settle for 1. He's like, nope, I'm in range, clicked on one of these workers and kills 12 probes at once.
No, for real. And that fight that we just saw before as well, did you notice that it was basically a concave of like 14 Marauders and no Marines? He took out the 2 Immortals, and it was just Colossus, and you know, you've talked about it on your stream before, Kev. Colossus basically heal Marauders in this kind of situation with those kind of upgrades, and that's kind of what was almost happening.
I would never say such an outrageous thing on my own stream, Benjamin.
This forced propaganda over here, putting it on you, you know. But no, I mean, like 2-2 against 2-0 there with just Marauders against Colossus. Maru actually handled that game really damn well, and you're right, the Disruptors were getting a lot of damage done.
A little more than they were supposed to, but
yeah.
I can also understand that maybe Maru felt like, all right, this game is super over. I've got it in the bag. You know, I'm becoming a 4 or 5 base Terran. I'm closing in, I'm maxing out. You click on your upgrades, you know you've got 3-3 on the way. You see the Protoss running around with 1-0. I understand that then you kind of lean back a little bit more. You're like, all right, I love what I did there. Let's get ready for the next game. It's like, whoa, okay, it's a bit more difficult. But in the end, it is all good as this man was able to close it out. He is representing on-site. He wants to make it to back-to-back finals of a DreamHack Masters tournament. This is Maru.
And spawning over in the top right, he is undoubtedly the best Protoss of the last 6 months. Give it up for herO!
was a lot of noise there for herO.
Oh, I love it, man.
Is that Atlanta crowd a little bit biased, as it does seem that we had a barracks that was going to be proxied, but it was kind of proxied on Maru's side of the map, so bit of a fake proxy, and herO was just on top of it immediately. Yeah.
herO's already smiling about that. He's like, oh, what a great stuff for me.
That's 37 minerals down the drain, and that means that your barracks is going to be a lot later, so you don't really have to worry about that first Reaper finding any damage.
No, it's definitely something to smile about, and I mean, his nickname was the Smiling Assassin back in his CJ Entus days. Just looked so happy as he was just murdering people with Blink Stalkers and whatnot, but this probe already been very annoying.
herO. Oh, wait, what? Okay, so he killed the SCV here. Did he lose his probe on the other side of the map? Nope. So herO is actually off to an absolutely flying start, and he really wants that SCV, you know it right now. Like, he's going to wait for the shields to regenerate, and then I think he's going to try to work on the SCV that's like 1 hit away. That's 2 hits away. He wants it. You know he wants it. He
certainly does, but I think if you go for it, it's a bit too cheeky, isn't it? And he has to be very careful.
He is a cheeky man. He is a cheeky man.
You're just hoping he goes for it, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping he goes for it.
All right, so we does see that there is a factory follow-up after this barracks, and I mean, this barracks was delayed a little bit, so everything's been slowed down by herO. Maru with his SCV out on the map. Did he use the same SCV to go out that made the barracks that got cancelled to go make the engineering bay? I assume so. So just wanted to do something with that SCV out on the map. Remember, travel time is a resource as well for these workers.
That's obviously nice, and it does. The previous game goes back to the little things. At one point, there was a Reaper roaming around in the main base of herO. The adept was all over it, yet that Reaper was able to pick off a probe in the mineral line. And yeah, these are things that you know are not supposed to happen if you're herO, and you really don't want to give away a single worker against Maru. The scouting worker, that's okay, but units at home, only if Maru truly commits to killing stuff, then it's okay. But obviously, you want to get out, you know, at the better end of those kinds of little interactions, and you don't want to drop random probes, because it really does add up. In the beginning of the game, you're not working with too many workers, so you're losing a few % of your economy, and you just grow a little bit slower than you're supposed to. Even against this stuff, Reaper, Hellion. Like, if Maru really wants to, he's obviously going to get a couple workers with this, but it's so important for herO to not make the numbers go bigger than they are supposed to be.
No, and I mean, he's making a good amount of adepts here, you know, just being cranking them out, but he has to be careful. Only one appeared first with the Shade, but I think he's handling the situation quite well. It's the next 2 units that come out from Maru that will make these adepts, oh, well, he'll have to run around or find out what he wants to do. Maybe he's just going to try and shade into a corner and recall out here. No, he's actually going to go for it. What happened to the other 2 units that Maru made?
I'm not sure, but they are
not
here. Wow, 2 Reapers actually getting picked off, and that means there is only an Hellion left right now. That Hellion is ultra low on HP. That Cyclone is only like 20% done. herO's off to an absolutely flying start. What is Maru's army right now? Is it that Hellion and the Cyclone that's in production? Is that it? Oh my goodness, what a delay on this command center. And these 2 adepts have been cash money.
Absolutely, handled them really damn well, and you know, he doesn't even have to run away right now. He's being very annoying with this. And Maru, look, just buying time. Just, oh, this is value for money.
Yep, 2 Marines do finally pop, but that's painful. As this Hellion did get a little tour around the map, but it's also going to get picked off.
Oh,
Stalker count is now at 3. 1 Cyclone will have some high ground potential with the high ground there, or at least utilizing the ramp. But also we have the Adept. The Shade can give some high ground vision. Nice micro by herO as he breaks the lock-on, finds a few more SCVs. You don't want to throw away too many Stalkers, obviously. Those are pricey units, but so far, what a game by the man that's down 0-1.
Look at that worker count. 24 SCVs to 37 probes. A 3-gate opening. He's got way more army than Maru in his base, denies the orbital as well. This is a disaster.
And what I absolutely love is that he's actually going charge before blink. Even though right now his army consists of all these Stalkers, that's pretty much the only thing that he has. He's going to go blink. He's going to go charge before blink, because he probably feels that the only thing that Maru can really do in a game like this is move out with a tank, a Cyclone, a couple of Marines, bring a few SCVs, and make it uncomfortable if all you have is blink Stalkers. I am surprised that he's making more Stalkers right now, though. But yeah, I don't know. Well, why do you think that is?
Might be just for defense. Maybe thinking this is going too good, that there's obviously a Widowmine drop or something happening. Like, you know,
he saw the Cyclone though, and I think
I know this is me just thinking what I'd be thinking about if I was in his shoes. But yeah, it's obviously not going to happen. A probe scout as well to see the medevac as it comes out reveals the Marines, so you know it's not Widowmines in there as well. I mean, this whole game is just not good for Maru whatsoever. He has got a Raven and it is going to be Dark Shrine tech, but economically, herO is in phenomenal shape.
I love Dark Shrines, and I know they're cheap, but I almost feel that in a game like this, where you're off to such a good start, there is no need to rely on a building like a Dark Shrine. And I'm not calling it the wrong choice, but because there's a good chance they'll find a lot of value in a game like this. But I think this would have been a perfectly fine game to just drop the Robo, get an Observer out to put it, you know, in dead airspace somewhere, to give yourself a heads up for drops. And I do really hope that herO is going to queue up regular Blink as well. Because I like the idea of going charge before Blink when you're off to such a good start, where you may be worried about a stimulus move out of the Terran player. But at this point, when you have this many Stalkers, and you've got zero Zealots, I do want to see regular Blink too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. He is making this maybe a bit more fancy than he needs to, right? Like, because he was ridiculously ahead. You could be 120 supply against 90 of a Terran with just a better army and better economic setup, whereas this could bite you in the butt, depending on what happens. But he is going into that Blink. He's got a lot of gateways. I don't know what his Robo situation is like, but...
It's non-existent.
Yeah, that's scary. That's precarious.
It's a little bit unnecessary, I feel. I think that herO's playing a more risky game here than he's supposed to. There we do see that robotics facility being warped in, but this would have been such a sweet game to just get a Robo, get a Forge, start working on your upgrades, and keep building probes. There's a good chance that he's going to win here in a very stylish and explosive manner. A couple of DTs blinking on top of bio units, and we all love that, and the crowd will go wild, and then it's all good, but obviously, semi-finals is not really the place to experiment. We do have one Dark Templar just very casually blinking into the main base and is already finding some success. So far, so good for herO. But now Maru is also going to look at this and be like, Blink DTs already? Okay.
Yeah, I initially looked at that Phoenix, like hallucinated Phoenix. I was like, sick scouting by him seeing this medevac move out, but he was using it primarily for that DT to get in the main base. And yeah, when you feel that your opponent's already got a lead and then they're styling on you a little bit with all this kind of stuff, yeah, it's pretty brutal. Oh, nice little spot. He's like, don't see me, please.
Cooldown of the Blink for the Dark Templars is definitely a bit bigger than it is for regular Stalkers, as another DT goes into the main base. Like, the first one was kind of successful, but I do think it's almost a bit silly of herO to assume that random DTs can find a lot of damage if there is nothing else happening. Like, if Maru is moving out, we always know that the door is open and the Dark Templars can be intimidating. Maybe he just looks at a situation where he's like, I'm so far ahead that I'll gladly throw away one Dark Templar for a Marine and an SCV each and every single time. But he's got to be careful, man, because if you just tune into this game right now, it doesn't even look like, it doesn't look good for Maru, but you wouldn't think that Maru is as dead as he was in the beginning of the game.
No, you're totally right. It's just, if you are in a position where you're Protoss and you're moving up to your 4th base and the Terran hasn't even remotely taken his 3rd. I don't even think there is a 3rd.
Yeah, but it's about armies too, right? And if you look at the armies right now, it's actually, Maru's army is becoming pretty solid. Like, the 1-1 upgrades are going to kick in. We're going to look once more at the 1-1 Terran against 0-0 Protoss. Obviously, I'm still liking the game for herO, but I do think he has made this game very complicated and a bit too wacky.
You might be absolutely right. There is the Robo Bay coming online right now, so you can start those big AoE kind of units here, but that Warp Prism might have a bit of work to do. I mean, if it does good damage here, then Maru's absolutely just limping around at this stage. But yeah, Maru doesn't want to be dealing with this right now, which is exactly why herO's doing it. And it's a big committal as well. The Widow Mines do get to go down, which will help. And herO, he just has no chill this game, man.
This Ghost Academy is actually a very tanky building. It's hard for Zealots to take it out. In the end, it's only 3 SCVs for a decent amount of Zealots, a little bit of lost mining time. I'm very happy to see that herO is dropping the 2nd Forge, so he can be a bit more competitive when it comes to the upgrades. But Maru is just doing all the right things. There is not a whole lot that he can do offensively. Some people might be like, why is he not dropping and stuff? herO was going to have too much map vision. Obviously, Maru doesn't know what we know, that herO's Robo was a bit late. He probably feels there are observers left, right, and center. That Blink was very quickly done for the Stalkers, and he's like, well, I'm already off to a disastrous start. I cannot afford to lose any more units. What I can do is just macro up a little bit. Get a couple Ghosts, get a couple Vikings, work on my upgrades, and perhaps herO, who is definitely known to become sometimes a little overconfident and carried away. Maybe herO will overextend. Maybe he will attack into a certain setup that he's not supposed to attack into, and then I am completely back in the game. And Maru probably believes that that approach is more likely to succeed than him being crazy aggressive when he's already behind.
You know what I'm starting to worry about for herO here? Like, I haven't seen his late game PvT in a while, and I know that Maru is the kind of guy that doesn't shy away from it if he's forced into it, but it looks like he's totally hunkered down here, Kev. Like, he's kind of realized if he did push out, if he did go across the other side of the map to slow down the Protoss, probably wasn't going to work. And I think he's going to start forcing it to a stage of the game that he is pretty much the only Terran on the planet that can play it, which that is when your PvT practice becomes almost redundant.
Couple of Zealots getting dropped into the natural though, as that one missile turret was not quite done yet, but there are a lot of Widow Mines and it's so damn difficult for random Zealots to be successful. As the main army is going to try to come in from the right side, we do have War Prism Speed close to finishing up. Interference Matrix went down, and look at the supplies all of a sudden. herO just dropped 40-50 supply, and I know he's been rich, but 76 probes against 68 SCVs, he's really not that much richer anymore than Maru is at the moment with triple orbital. And we just suddenly have a game on our hands now. And just to talk a little bit about late game, I gotta give it to herO. We all remember that GSL finals when he was the first Protoss to win in so many years. There was that game on Cosmic Sapphire where at one point I was like, I know herO's winning, man, but Maru's late game, Maru's late game. I'm afraid he's still gonna throw it. And he was actually really good in closing it out. Like, he switched into Tempest when he was supposed to. The positioning of the units was perfect. And he made sure that all the tanks that Maru had, that they didn't really come into play. So it looked very good on a big map. Obviously inside and out is a lot smaller. I don't know about the investment of all the DTs, of all the Zealots. I'm starting to get seriously concerned for the man who had a dream start. After a start like that, I think if you ask the average Pro Terran player, the Terrans will say, it's over, GG, you can leave. Like, your CC is so late, you lost so many SCVs, you've got 0 units, game over. Well, all of a sudden, this game is not over, and herO's really gonna have to work for it.
He certainly is. I mean, this little DT hit squad can dodge the Widow Mines, but I don't think they did at all, and does take out quite a lot of tanks with this, which will allow herO to wrap around if he wants to, but he's not going for it. He's going for the fight on the other side, which I think that is a fairly vulnerable position, but I say that, lots of tanks in the back there. I mean, Maru's just defending really damn well, and herO's just trying to overwhelm him. This is almost like Reyna's ZVT, right? Where you just try and overwhelm with just superior numbers and economy, but at some point you are going to start running dry.
We saw how good Planetary Fortress can be in that first map on Stark Aces, where herO almost looked like he was going to make a little bit of a comeback, and then he just struggled taking out the PF that was getting mass repaired. That Planetary Fortress at 6 o'clock is close to finishing up, and that means it's going to get more and more difficult for KB units, and he's still making a lot of Zealots, a lot of Stalkers. herO is absolutely going for it there. He is looking for a great fight. He has a couple of Disruptors in the mix, but the Interference Matrix went off on that Disruptor that had a lot of potential, and herO is forced to disengage. Did pick off a couple of tanks, and it does feel like he's creating a little bit of an opening for himself. But Maru is playing one hell of a game so far from an absolutely awful start.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost unwinnable, the position that he was in. And he's doing this against the best Protoss in the world. Like, there's no doubt in my mind right now that Maru is the only player in the world that can do this. And 5 Colossus, that's a big, big number. But these tanks, there's not really that much to really take them out immediately. Like, obviously you can blink on them and he's got a good amount of Stalkers, but blinking into that is kind of suicidal.
Yep. And having 20 Zealots is a bit of a love-hate relationship with Protoss players in this phase in the game. We know that they can be awesome, but sometimes they can be a bit silly. If the bio ball gets big and they are forced to just kind of charge ahead of the rest of the army, Zealots are not the dream unit to max out on. That doesn't mean they will never find value, because if you can get on top of a couple of tanks, if the tanks are left at the 3rd base and your main army is at the 4th, there is still a place for the Zealot, but just running into a bunch of Widow Mines, and if you do get EMP'd, it's not the best unit, man. It's 119 army supply against 117. And I'm really starting to favor Maru, at least Maru's army. That doesn't mean that Maru can just run to the other side of the map and win, because Maru's army is super strong defensively, where the Widow Mines are already set up and whatnot. The Disruptors are going to try to take care of a couple of these Widow Mines, and that is very smart. Love those 2 shots by herO.
That was really good. Can we have a quick look at the resources lost tab here? Because it feels like, yeah, Maru's been trading absolutely phenomenally, almost a 2-to-1 ratio here. And herO at some point, like, he's got to realize that this gear in the car is not working. He's got to switch it up.
Last game was kind of the same, right? herO at one point also lost 4,000 resources more already, and then I did get a bit closer after he landed a couple of great Novas, but he was probably down 6,000-7,000 resources very early on without too many like real fights happening.
I love this by herO, by the way. Like, just thinking, this map is kind of small. If this does turn split map scenario, if he can start taking Maru's side of the map and really absorbing the resources there, that is definitely a decent move if he wants to keep this container. But Oh, it's gonna be rough for him.
You mentioned that like herO is playing this a little bit like a Rainer would in a ZVT. Well, Maru is giving herO the Rainer treatment, man. He's just sitting back and he's going to build a lot of ghosts. He has a couple tanks, a couple Widow Mines. We have +3 on the way, and hence shockwaves. Fusion cores are going to go down. Maru is, I think, kind of okay with where he's at. We see advanced ballistics being researched, and we all know the power of EMP, +2 ship weapons, and advanced ballistics. Like, herO is going to have a hard time winning games like that with gateway units and Colossus, man.
He certainly is. I mean, this army, it's a great ground army, but once the Liberator's coming with +2, this army, like, he's going to have to start switching into Stargate units at some point. And I mean, I'm a little bit surprised when Maru's been so defensive that he didn't go for some of those picking units, like maybe Tempest or something like that. But yeah, this right now, it just ain't working for him.
I feel like Protoss players are often afraid to go into Tempest too early because we're all like, almost every Protoss, you saw it in some of these segment pieces as well. I think Australia said it's like, Tempest just kind of sucks, man. Like, in theory it's good, but it just kind of sucks. And I feel like we're almost afraid that we start making Tempest when we don't have to, and it's like, oh my god, this unit doesn't do any damage.
And then you get rolled over by the bio army.
Yeah, and then by the time that you kind of feel like, maybe I should get Tempest, then maybe it's already too late because you missed the window of opportunity where the Tempest could be fantastic. It does seem like we're getting a lot of cannons and batteries. I'd kind of love to see where herO is building those. Can we take a look quickly? In the bottom right, yeah.
I mean, it is nice play. Like, theoretically, this does turn into, what, like a 7 versus 5 base situation if he takes that and if he mines it out, which, that's a lot of eco.
But Ben, how do I explain to my children that we got here in the first place? When Maru couldn't finish up his CC, there were 6 Stalkers in his natural and he had 1 Hellion with 10 HP.
Well, you say little Jimmy and Jilly. Well, herO kind of messed up a little bit. Like, he absolutely could have went with a very orthodox play, got very far ahead, and then maybe closed out with a bigger, better army. But he went for all the finessey plays, and, well, Jimmy, that's not what you do.
I don't know why I think I would have named my son Jimmy, but other than that, I like...
Oh, yeah, maybe Zeratul.
Yeah. All right. As we have the Liberated Siege up here, the Novas are going to try to connect one more time, and they will settle for the Sensor Tower. I mean, you're gonna settle for something. We even get the Medevac speed boost upgrade there by Maru. In case you guys are wondering, what on earth is Maru researching? It just means that they can boost for a longer time. The Disruptors are taking a lot of damage. This is too many tanks, man. Like, herO, if you think of breaking Maru right now, you simply won't. It feels once more, just like in the first game, even if we had very different starts, that herO misread the game a little bit, where he's like, I'm in a spot where Maru needs to do something, and he's probably gonna move out like we see Terran players do so often on these tiny maps, without stim, without combat shield, without any eBay upgrades, and I just want to have a couple of units real quick that are good against that stuff, and then I'll smack it, and then I'll win. But Maru just sat back, and if herO would have gone for this army right off the get-go, I don't think Maru ever secures a 3rd base even. By the time he does it, he has mined out his main base. But by sticking on like Zealots and DTs for so long, as we now have a nuke landing, this is why I wasn't ultra fond of all the static defense in bottom right side. With that ramp on the left side, I feel like you're gonna have endless cannons and batteries, but it's not great against tanks, liberators, and obviously nukes.
I mean, like, okay, herO is moving in here. It does do a big blink. I mean, lots of EMPs going down, but look at that army of Maru. I mean, so many tanks in good locations, and when all your Stalkers are out of shield, those tanks absolutely wreak havoc on them. And can we bring up the resources lost tab again? Because this is not... Oh, my goodness. I mean, Maru,
ridiculous.
He is putting on a clinic here of how to play. Disruptor shots coming in. They do push the bio away, but it seems he's losing more every time. Okay, that's about the best shot he's had the whole game.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
There wasn't anything.
No, it wasn't very good, mate. I feel like we had better shots on Stargazers. Maru's definitely in his element, and herO seems a bit confused, lost, and almost frustrated. Maybe because he indeed misread the game. He's going to try one more time. He does have units for days. He has money for days. A lot of SCVs. You almost want to see the Colossus line up some shots there, so they can roast into those 10+ SCVs at once. Just so herO get some momentum. Does have a lot of money though, and maybe herO's just playing the war of attrition here. He's like, I'm gonna have a lot more money than you do. Eventually, I'll be okay. I think he's playing a very risky game. It's ultra risky, but it could still work. We can't make it seem that herO is dead. But from, in the beginning of the game, once those Stalkers showed up and the CC was delayed, I think I gave Maru a 1% chance of winning this game. Right now, I'd say it's 50-50.
I think so. I mean, this is actually quite a nice fight for herO to take. I felt it the first time, but no, his whole army's getting melted yet again. The Colossus, they just can't stay alive against these +2 Vikings, soon to be +3.
It's not, I mean, yeah, that wasn't even a very nice fight. It's just that the EMPs will take off all the shields of the Stalkers, and with the upgrades that Maru currently has, the Liberators one-shot these Stalkers. So it's almost impossible for the army. Yeah, we're building 6 lips at a time, because Maru knows, like herO, you can show up with 500 Stalkers, it's gonna be okay. My EMPs will connect, and the Liberators will make short work of them. On top of that, there are a couple of well-protected tanks in the back. And herO, time to cancel this Nexus, mate. I know it's 400 minerals and you have plenty, but these things will start adding up. And Maru is going to get his hands on the bottom right side. And herO just looks lost. He's going to try with a couple of Zealots over here on the left side. And actually the doors are wide open here, right? If you look at it, there are no bio units protecting these tanks at all. So this is an excellent run by herO. Finally, it feels that he got the better trade. And he also gets on top of the command center. He will pick that one off. And he will avoid the Liberators at all costs. But we gotta show a little more respect. How many gateways does herO have? Like,
I guess 14, 15, 16, eh? 20 gateways. So I mean, the flood capability is there. It's just his army. Okay, this is a nice little wraparound, but he has to be careful. And yet again, he's losing a lot, even though he's going for these nice, finessey kind of plays, wrapping around. But that Liberator count, he has nothing to deal with those besides Stalkers.
And mobility. Like, there is one thing that Liberators are not great at, and that is always being in the correct place. He's going to try one more time. I would almost say let's go ahead and get rid of these Colossus, because Maru has 14 Vikings, and other than working against the Colossus, they are not very good. Maybe herO's plan is just to purely win on the mobility of gateway units and then try to land a random Nova once. And his idea is never, I'm gonna win a fight against you, Maru. No, I'm gonna slowly but steady pick you apart because I think I'm very rich. He is not that rich compared to Maru, but he is definitely finally finding success now on the left side. He realized that the doors are open, as we do have a nuke. Oh, don't pull a solar now, mate.
I mean,
don't pull a solar! Oh my goodness.
That was a bit too close for comfort there. I mean,
I feel like he baited us, man. That's his herO.
He's trying to get us a heart attack, you know, but okay, maybe attacking here might not be the best call. I mean, Maru isn't fully set up here with Liberators and stuff, but it is a PF that you're fighting against, although he is still rich behind this.
Yeah, no, this is very good right now by herO, because he has also forced Maru to just kind of run from the bottom right side back to the natural, bottom right side back to the natural. And while doing that, herO has been comfortably mining of this base that otherwise would have been under a bit of pressure. He realized that the doors are open on the left side. He's finally breaking that setup, and now we've got a lot of DTs blinking into the main base as well. And this is where things get hard for Maru. Stalkers blink forward, not too many Liberators, a few Novas connect. Maru is forced to pick up the units. herO's army is dropping a little bit. Take a quick look at how the Dark Templars are doing. Are they swiping up everything in the main base, or is Maru... Oh, those DTs are finding some value.
They certainly are. I mean, Liberators are there now, but, you know, those bad boys can blink out of them. And the Disruptor shots, I mean, both players are playing at a ridiculous pace here, but just feel that herO is finally starting to break Maru and get him out of position here, getting between the bases. That is a gnarly position for him to be in.
It felt that that 4-base Maru was not something that he found any success against, but the moment that Maru tried to secure the bottom right side, that is where it became harder for the Terran to have all the units in the right place, and herO is finally finding just much better fights, gets behind these Liberators as well. The Vikings do show up, a big anti-armor missile lands, and I do think it's time for herO to maybe just run away for a little bit, right? You've done a lot of economic damage, you've got a great economy at home, it is time to just spend some of that money that you have in the bank. He queues up 3 Colossus at once, even though there are so many Vikings still, but I guess it's okay as he's also warping in 13 DTs. And can we take a look at that unit's lost resource tab now? Because now it's a lot closer, right? Earlier it was like closing in on 13, 14,000 as all the DTs that were warped in show up in the bottom right side. Maru loses another base, and herO has made this very hard on himself. But in the end, he's like, guys, were you worried? Like, I'm not that worried. Looking perfectly fine, mate.
And maybe his plan all along was like, okay, Terran gets up to 4 bases, but can he take a 5th? And herO's answer was absolutely not. And now Maru, I haven't seen that gas move for quite some time here. He's broke as a joke. And herO, this is a much easier situation for him to deal with. And look at these DTs, they're just running rampant.
Definitely felt that we were sweating a little there, but in the end, herO gets what he deserves after an absolutely fantastic start on Inside and Out, and he is able to tie things up here in the semi-final. And Maru is like, well, that game lasted a lot longer than I thought it was going to last, because we cannot emphasize enough on how bad that start was for Maru. It's really hard to put it in words, but if that is a ladder game, I'll guarantee you Maru's out of there.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. I mean, 99% of Terrans would be out of there, but maybe Maru's like, you know what? Let's play from behind a bit. And the thing is, he is the only Terran that would make that close. You got to admit that as well.
He played, I think Maru played fantastic, and I think herO made it very hard on himself. But that one Zealot run by, I feel like was a real turning point. And obviously when I say that one Zealot run by, we can take another look at how horrific the start truly was for Maru. The 2 Reapers getting picked off, 1 Hellion stands no chance. Maru can't even complete his command center, while herO's already going to be on 2 bases on the other side of the map. And now Maru's army is 2 Marines and a Cyclone, while there are 3 Stalkers picking up SCV after SCV. And I think at this point Maru's like, I hope I can just get that command center finished up as quickly as possible. Lovely little pickup there on some of these SCVs by Maru, but he does end up losing a few. I think the one run by is the one that I meant, where Maru was going to try to take the bottom right side, so his 5th base, and those 4 Zealots took out 4 tanks. And I think at that point herO realized, wait a minute, that base that initially was so well defended by all those Widow Mines has no more Widow Mines. The doors are open for Zealots and DTs to finally do their thing, and I think it's safe to say that they did. I think it's this one that I meant, because all the Widow Mines that we had earlier, they were gone. That planetary was so close to finishing up, but it wasn't quite finished up yet, and I really think that that was a real turning point in the game.
No, I think you're totally right, and then when that Blink DT squad went in there, mashed up the bases, got into the main, that just caused so much havoc. And yeah, you're totally right. And you know, we even missed the start there where the proxy barracks got scouted immediately and stopped, and then he lost his SV on the other side of the map doing the engineering bay block. Like, it was a disaster start for him, but congrats to Maru for actually making that a game, because at one point I started to believe.
And congrats for herO for maybe making that a very frustrating game in the end for Maru, because Maru is probably like, oh man, I know how this is gonna go, but it's the semi-finals. I don't want to throw the towel in early. I'm gonna fight, and then you kind of gave him hope, and then they took the hope away. So you know, congrats to herO for accomplishing that as well. As we have successfully loaded into Game 3 of our second semi-finals, who will make it into the Grand Finals to duke it out with Bunny? Will it be this man? Atlanta, in the bottom left side, make some noise for arguably the best player of all time. It's Maru.
And spawning over in the top right as our blue Protoss, after tying things up, it is herO. I saw something cheeky from herO there, by the way, in the production tab. So he didn't make his first probe. He sent one of his first probes down to make this pylon immediately. So this is the fastest gateway that you can go for, and it's on the low ground as well. So maybe looking to deal some damage very early on, or at least get some units out very, very quickly. It's a little unorthodox from him.
Waterfall is definitely one of the smaller maps that we have in this map pool. We are indeed going to start off with a Zealot. Is he going to Chrono Boost out the Zealot as well, or will we save? The Zealot will probably just line up perfectly with the Cybernetic core, and then right when that's done, he's going to use the first Chrono on the Adept. As we're going to take a look at some of the cheerfuls. I've seen a lot of great cheerfuls over the weekend. Which one was your favorite, Ben?
Maru the Goat.
I like Smix the Goat a bit more than.
Ah, Smix the Goat's there. Yeah, Smix the Goat.
What about the Hearthstone one? That one was beautiful, and I believe it won the competition.
I believe it won the competition, but I got to admit, Hearthstone did look a little out of sorts on the picture, right?
I saw somebody made some awesome artwork for DNS as well. I thought that one was quite cool. It had a little phoenix on it as well.
Okay, that is cool. Oh, you liked it because of the phoenix, eh?
No, I liked it because it was DNS.
Okay. not swayed at all. Not swayed at all. All right. Neither player scouted with a worker, which is already a little bit like, all right, I know that both of you guys can be crazy, and that Zealot just having a nice stroll across the map.
Yep, and the Reaper is looking for a lot of things, but it's not looking for this Zealot. This Zealot ideally obviously wants to start slicing up an SCV that's working on a command center on the low ground. That is not happening, but Zealots have a lot of DPS, and he will start working on this reactor. The Reaper should just turn around immediately, but the Adept is here as well to provide some support. And Maru at this point is probably like, man, that Adept showed up so quickly, and he's just sent his Reaper to the other side of the map. Couldn't quite see the mini-map, and that Reaper is going to look for a couple of probe kills, but that obviously means that the reactor ban has to be in some trouble, and if herO gets the kill, which he does, he is off to an absolutely amazing start here. This reactor is burning down. This reactor will fall. The floodgates are open. A Zealot and an Adept, and ideally for herO, another Adept is going to show up in the near future, and Maru is going to lose a couple of SCVs here, but the real question is how many?
So far, he's doing really damn well with what he's got, right? Like that Marine even staying alive here, and Maru.
Oh my god, he handled that so well.
He handled it unbelievably well. Like, he kept pulling back SCVs there between the two structures, and
wow,
the damage has been done by herO to take out the reactor and stuff, but holy hell has it been minimized by Maru.
There is a Stalker now. Stalkers are the real problem here, right? Because there is no bunker. One Marine is very low on HP, so this is still going to be annoying. Maru is not quite done yet, and he knows it. Nice target fire there by herO. One shot, one kill on the low HP Marine. He has extra gateways going up. He has a pilot. Oh man, herO is always so aggressive and wild, and you never really know what you're up against. And sometimes I don't even think that herO necessarily always knows what he's doing. He's just like, units are doing good right now. I want more units. Let's go for it. Bit of gateway pressure. And obviously all these Stalkers ban. Ooh, Maru is going to be in for a bit of a surprise. And we still don't have a bunker. This has to be very bad news because we don't have a Cyclone. We don't have a tank. And herO is showing up with 5 Stalkers. It feels like it's game 2 all over again. But this time around, Maru has even less units. The only thing that Maru can do is indeed pull the SCVs and force the Stalkers to go away because the Stalkers don't have high ground vision.
No, and I mean, these Stalkers are one-shotting units at this point in time, and Maru's trying to fight with that vision on his side, and we'll lose a Stalker, maybe a second one as well to these Marines and Hellions, but this is exactly what herO wants to be doing. I mean, he's buying so much time, but Maru's micing his little heart out here, and can he close the depot? Okay, so he stops these Stalkers from getting inside the base. The tank will be out soon as well, but damage again just done by herO, and look at this. This might be a short game. I was going to say another one, but we'll see what Maru can do.
I mean, the tank is almost out, and once the tank sieges up, that should absolutely shut down this party because herO does not have blink. But herO is also the kind of guy to just still run into the main base and try to kill the tank. Maru will re-woe immediately again. The tank reveals itself, and I think at this point herO's like, all right, that's it. Party's over. Time to go home, everyone.
I mean, this kind of damage that he did, like just rallying out that Zealot, getting the Adept over there, getting the second Adept to deal with the Reaper. I mean, that Reaper single-handedly could have caused a little bit of chaos in the base of herO.
Yeah, it's super annoying because it also forces one of the 3 units, like that's 33% of the army, to stay at home.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, this tank has to be careful about friendly fire right now. I mean, herO's army, I don't know where it is on the minimap. I think it might have went back home, or at least way further. Okay, it is back home right now, so we know that Maru's not under threat, but Maru has no idea. Remember, scouting information for him ever since that Reaper died doesn't exist.
Tank count is going to go up quite high. It feels that Maru is expecting some sort of a Blinkstalker follow-up. We have a single eBay go down. Last game, Maru tried to macro his way out of it. A very tough start, and in the end, I think it's safe to say that he succeeded, and he definitely made it a competitive game. But Waterfall is, I feel like, even smaller when it comes to like natural to natural, and just get the tanks in a terrifying spot on the other side of the map. We saw how well he got his tanks yesterday in a sweet spot against Solar on this map as well. Different matchup this time around, but I think kind of the same idea. I don't think we're going to see Maru get a whole lot more than +1. I think he will send it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's also a very splittable map. It's smaller than the one that we previously played, but I mean,
I think he's sending it.
Getting that as your goal is so damn difficult. The thing is, herO's just getting so ready for if he does send it, right? Like, the gateway explosion's coming down, he's getting charged, he's getting immortals as well. He's not just playing crazy and greedy for some heavy robo tech. Even go for a Templar Archives here as well.
And I don't hate that, because obviously going for a potential feedback on the Raven is sweet, but this is also one of these games where you can rush out Storm. With the amount of damage that he has done, I think he has enough time to rush out, let's say, 2 or 3 High Templars with Storm, and all you need to do is drop 1 or 2 juicy Storms that don't even land in the heart of the Marine army, that just clip the majority of the Marines, and I think then you're okay. Because I don't think that Maru is going to have a whole lot more than 1 push inside of him on this game.
No, it doesn't look like it. Like he's getting ready for that sweet and juicy triple combo of Stim, Combat Shield, and +1 here. But yeah, herO's more than ready for this move out. Like, well, not with an army necessarily, but having the Warp Prism in position. And Maru, that's a nice scan there, seeing the Templar Archives and the Robo.
Yep, but he also sees that the Templar Archives is not working, so he's like, I already have Storm and I'm in all sorts of trouble, or it's going to be Zealot Archon, and that obviously requires a slightly different approach. We have a single High Templar being wiped in there, and that definitely gives us the idea that herO is looking for a feedback on the Raven. Has the Raven been sent to the other side of the map? No, right? Okay, now we're wiping in more High Templars, but if you want to do that, he's going to morph the first set of High Templars into an Archon. I don't hate that idea, but I actually think that this is the kind of game where he would have been able to get away with Quick Storm, as Maru does drop a 3rd command center, but it's 8 minutes into the game, so I think we can safely say that that is very late.
It definitely is late, and we'll catch 2 Adepts on the right side of the map here, but they were almost, when in the center of the map, almost being used as a scout more so than anything else. But the real damage dealer, these 2 medevacs on the right side, which, as far as I'm concerned, they could deal a lot of damage, and I don't think herO has any idea.
Nope, but herO should have warp-ins for days and should have units at least somewhat nearby. As the scan goes down, double drop is going to show up in the main base. herO is going to use recall immediately. There is a shield battery as well. That battery won't really come into play. Widow Mine shot settles for a sentry, I believe, there. Or maybe even something else. Can we take a look at the Shift L real quick? As Maru is sending the majority of his units to the other side of the map. A sentry did go down there. The Immortal gets stacked immediately. The Archons are derping a little bit. We have a War Prism revealing itself in the main base. And Maru has sent almost all of his units to the other side of the map. And that means that it's going to be so damn difficult to deal with these Zealots. And it seems like he is completely turning around.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice little push from him. You saw how it could all connect very nicely, but this War Prism has caused a storm in the base of Maru. SCV's going down in the plenty. herO is taking a 4th base behind this, and Maru's 3rd base, I think it just got finished there in the main base. And look at that, even warping in an Archon in the main here.
And a sentry tried to force field Maru out of his own main base. I mean, that's a disrespectful herO. I know you were around in the Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm days, but we don't do that anymore, mate.
Yeah, it's been a while since I saw that, and that you know, leaves a sour taste in every Zerg's mouth in the entire universe, you know.
Yeah, but there were no Ravagers.
Yeah, no Ravagers. It's just, oh, War Prism main, GG, I guess.
And then when they eventually did get a lot of units in the main base, you're like, all right, pick up, go to the low ground, force field you inside of your own main base. Oh, some people call it the glory days, man.
Some people. All right. herO is marching back home. There is one thing that he has been neglecting in a lot of these games. It's getting upgrades quite quickly. And that is the one thing that Maru does have on him, but there's still a lot of potential because herO can bust out so many units, and that seems to be what he goes for a lot in these PvTs. Mass over real raw quality, right?
Like what herO has a lot is also something that Parting had in his prime, right? Where it's just like random aggressive builds where it's like, you can do this every time. And he's like, oh, I know. But I've got 17 different variations of it. And that's why herO is able to get himself in these great spots over and over again. It's now back-to-back games where Maru is pretty much dead on arrival. He has tried to stay in it. He has tried to do a bit of a push. But the Storms show up and they connect with the Law of the Bio units. And I think this time around, even Maru is going to have a hard time in turning this into a 15-20-minute game. But he did get a good trade there. And he actually has taken an army supply lead. And one of the Archons is getting pushed forward a little bit in range of the tank. Some Trader Protoss units. herO is sometimes definitely a bit clumsy. But he is very rich. So I mean, I feel like as long as you're rich, you can say like, it's okay, he's allowed to get away with this, but needs to be careful because we saw what happened in the previous game.
The supply is a little deceiving as well. I mean, herO, big economy, 75 probes, 47 SVs only, but the army supply, like it's really the Storms that are going to be keeping him in it. I mean, still the Forge upgrades aren't happening.
Yeah, but if Maru moves out right now, there are 10 more Zealots that show up, right? So Maru can't really move out.
Does he know about those Immortals there? Because if they join the mix, they're going to help out a lot with these Marauders and what have you.
herO is looking for little openings, some Zealot run-bys. Gonna see what Maru is doing with the 3rd orbital. He sees that it's being floated over. A War Prism on the left side, sharking around. Ready to wipe in a few more units. I think we have High Templars inside of this Prism. But good line of feedback. He's gonna go for some Storms. Like these are not kind of these Storms. They look cool, but they actually don't do anything because Marauders and Ghosts simply have too much HP to die to a single Storm. And there will never be back-to-back perfect Storms there. The Zealots don't help out all that much. You storm your own Zealots. herO does need to be careful because he is now down quite a bit of supply. He's got money in the bank. He is transitioning into Disruptors. We've got double Forge up and running. But this is a pretty terrifying army. Maru has one more very strong push. We're going to bring some of the boys as well as he lands an EMP. A few Storms are mostly used as zoning Storms. herO just needs time for these Robo units to show up. Here come the Disruptors.
Here they come, but that's a big army from Maru. Look at that, 85 army supply against 57. Another chunky boy left behind. The Disruptor disabled as well. If there's a window for Maru to do this, this is absolutely it. Shield Battery Overcharge is used. Maru's chasing him into a corner in his own base, but there are a Zealot flank in the bottom. I don't know what's happening.
That overcharge is godlike, I know that much. Without that overcharge, I think herO would have been in all sorts of trouble. But that overcharge healed up for over 1,000 shields, I'm sure of that. And then a lot of Zealots coming in from the bottom. Random Robo and Robo Bay at the 3rd. Maybe we should ask him, is the Widow Mines do connect with a couple of the Robo units, and now even the probes are being pulled. We had SCVs being pulled. The probes are getting absolutely obliterated. The hero's definitely struggling in trying to hold this. He is still down 25 army supply. Do we have another overcharge, Ben?
I don't think so, at least not for the time being. These disruptors so far, the robos are in separate locations, so these disruptors when they're coming out, and that was a warp in before where all the units got sniped before they even came to the field. This is very close, but I think this Zealot warping is going to start pushing him back here, but Maru, he's got more reinforcements.
Disruptor is a little far forward. EMP connects with the Disruptor. We know that Maru wants it, but there is another Nova flying forward, and every second that goes by is a good one for the Korean Protoss, who is still enjoying a 67 probe economy. 2 more Disruptors on the way, warping in more Zealots, warps in a set of High Templar somewhere as well. And I think that will do it, as that Nova connects with a bunch of Ghosts. Maru is not done yet. He wants to keep on trying, but these medevacs are working overtime. There is no more energy left on them. Every single stim hurts this Terran army so much, and Maru is in serious trouble and forced to tap out. GG. herO wins, but boy oh boy does he make these games close after getting some phenomenal starts.
I mean, that Maru actually had a real chance there. Like, I don't know how he does it. Both these guys are making the other one really work for it, but if one of those disruptors didn't hit where it killed like a good 4 or so ghosts there, hey, maybe Maru might have still been in it and pushed herO to the limit.
I think if Maru snipes that battery first.
Yeah.
I actually think that battery really saved him, and that overcharge, I'm sure we're going to take another look at that final fight, because that got awfully close, but that battery was putting in some serious work, and it also allowed all the Zealots to come from that triangle base that basically got a bit of a wraparound around the Terran army, and these units in the natural, they stayed safe because of that overcharge. herO was once more in a very, very good spot, but this is something that I think the boys at the desk and Zombie Grub have definitely mentioned a few times over the weekend as well. The man can get a little bit carried away. He loves to be aggressive, and that's why we love herO, because he doesn't give us boring games. But sometimes, if you're down in upgrades where you're up in bases and your opponent needs to attack you, you don't really have to attack into them because you make life so hard. And I think this is where we see that overcharge. Man, look at this overcharge, man.
It does such a good job, yeah, just sniping it before you march up the ramp, but, you know, he kind of got in there and he's like, okay, I'm going to start dealing damage and what have you, and oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right though. That overcharge does such a damn good job of just keeping everything in the north alive.
Yep, it first saved the Arc for a little while, then it saved the Disruptor for a little while, then it was one Zealot that was tanking hundreds of damage from the Terran units. A God tier overcharge there for herO. At one point was even forced to pull the probes. I can't believe that we got there. But Maru forced to tap out. Obviously herO got the best of Maru in the GSL Code S finals half a year ago. After that, Maru won 2 series. One of them in GSL Code S and one of them over in the Netherlands at the Team Liquid headquarters during TSL 9. Now herO is back. He's going to try to make it into the finals of the DreamHack Masters Atlanta. He got so close in Valencia a couple months ago, but back then, Dark denied him from a finals appearance. Maru obviously did make it into the grand finals back then, but Dark denied him from lifting the trophy. He needs one more map ban, and then we have, I really think stylistically, like I love Maru, and I never want to cheer against Maru, but Bunny herO stylistically is such a fantastic fighter.
It is, and I mean, Maru's been in this position once already this tournament though. Like, Solar I think was also 2-1 up against him.
That's correct.
And he managed to come back, and right now this is both of them playing really well. But in this series, I'm almost more impressed with the fact that Maru's making it close despite such chaotically bad starts. I mean, not to take any credit away from herO, like he is making it happen, but the fact that Maru's coming back into it, it's amazing.
I mean, both these guys have obviously played very good throughout this tournament so far. herO was 10-1 entering this semi-finals, so that means that at this point he's 12-2. Quick math.
Quick math.
Maru was 10-2 entering this semi-finals, and the only 2 maps he dropped was yesterday in the semi-finals, or the quarterfinals against Solar. It does seem that the players need a little break. Can't blame them. Multiple 20+ minute games. These are stressful. It's the semi-finals of a big tournament, so we'll take a 3-minute break, and after that we'll be back with Game 4 between Maru and herO.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
Cheese is pretty good, but I feel like if you really pay attention to the cheese as you eat it, then it kind of tastes worse and worse. It's really got to be balanced with other flavors and stuff. Otherwise, it's really not that good by itself, despite what French cuisine may have you think.
I like to be really cheesy in Zerg. And I have a lot of cheeses, but it's usually on early mid game. But I think the strongest are in mid game because you can get a really good early game or good corners. So mostly the mid game cheeses is very good with Niduses or just timings with roaches.
게임 내에서 가장 좋아하는 치즈. 소스로 따지면 캐논러시, 테라는 전진배럭. 그 두 개가 제일 맛있지 않을까?
Well, I'm not big into cheese threats, but probably 12-4 Ravager was one of my favorites.
전진배럭이 좀 쉽게 이길 수도 있고 예전부터 너무 많이 하기도 했고 그래서 제일 좋아하는 것 같아요.
I don't cheese really, that's the problem. I'm trying to think like, what do I enjoy? I mean, I guess my favorite cheese would be Cannon Rush. I think it makes the other races tilt really hard, or your own race even. So that's always a plus.
테란전이 제일 힘들기 때문에 테란전을 치즈 전략을 많이 생각하는데 요새 좋아하는 건 제일 공짜로 이길 수 있는 거는 본진에 원게이트를 짓고 밖에다가 원게이트 지어서 투게이트 푸시하는 게 제일 진짜 이길 때 짜릿한 것 같아요. 왜냐면 테란이 노서치로 좀 쬐을 때 그거를 죽일 수 있기 때문에.
I like to go proxy starport for a Hellion drop. That's probably my favorite cheese and the one that I do the most also.
Cheese, yeah, I've developed way more cheeses, especially for bigger tournaments. I always prepare some. It has helped me, I wouldn't say a lot, but because the game is kind of stale. I like to play a game of poker more nowadays, gamble a little bit, and cheese here and there is definitely worth it.
I have a cheese versus Zerg I think is really strong, but I'd rather not say what it is, but perhaps you can watch for it if I play any good Zergs.
For this piece, I've lined up a few friends, StarCraft players, and personalities to join me in a hot sauce challenge. They are brave. Most of them said that they are into spicy food themselves, and we'll just test and see just how much they can handle. We are gonna start today with Cholula and buffalo sauce, which is around 2000 Scoville. We are gonna then move on to the last dab. This sauce is actually featured in Hot Ones, and it is the hottest sauce that they carry at 2.5 million Scovilles. And I have decided to add an extra step with my favorite sauce called Flatline the End. It is actually a 7 million Scoville sauce, so I am excited to see how my friends handle that. Right, like let's begin with the mildest one. I'll join you for that one.
Okay, got it.
So that one's just basic buffalo flavor, right?
The fact that that's a little spicy scares me.
Oh, it's tasty. Good? Good. Now we're gonna move on to the ones that are, we're gonna move to the last dab from the Hot Ones.
I don't know, Hot Ones ripped off this show, right?
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Korea, more hot? Easy?
No, I'm not confident. I'm just eating. I'm hungry.
I appreciate that.
I think I swallowed that one wrong. But
when you were signing up for this, more or less, what were you expecting?
Death.
Death. I love it.
Now the tongue is definitely starting to get a little like tingly.
Yeah. Well, this one is something. Third hottest sauce in the world by Scoville levels. It's 7 million.
That's a lot of Scovilles.
That's a lot of Scovilles. Easy? Really?
Not really.
He wants more, I think.
You want more?
No. Give me water.
Give him water.
I swear. Something in the air, you know, like.
Oh, very hot. Oh.
One time I accidentally lit a firework off when I shouldn't have. This is hotter on an internal sense than that.
I've never eaten like this. Oh, very spicy.
We are back, and it will be going into the 4th game here. But so far, we've had a really exciting series between Maru and herO. So far, 2-1 up for herO, but as decisive as the early games have been for him, it's been closing it out that's seemingly been an issue, because Maru's just been bringing it back.
Yeah, herO basically has done something tricky each and every single game in the very beginning, and they have really worked out. On Stargaze, it's got a bit weird. Tactically, it worked out at first, but it's kind of the Banshees that really threw a spanner in the works. But in the second game, obviously a dream start. Should have been a short game, it wasn't. Third game, he went for that quick gateway on the low ground, tiny map, Zealot to the other side of the map, Adepts being chrono boosted. But this man shows that there is no such thing as an easy victory. But he still finds himself down 1-2 in this semifinals. He's got his tournament life on the line. In the top right side, if you want to see this man make it to the grand finals Atlanta, you need to make some proper noise for Maru. They want that TVT finals, man.
They certainly do. Absolute masochists over there in Atlanta. And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side. Currently 2-1 up, playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is herO.
Both players obviously came into this tournament as top-tier favorites. I gotta give some kudos to Wax, who had both of them in the top 3 when it came to the power ranking. And Bonnie did make an appearance in the top 10 of that Passion Lord. I think he had Bonnie seated at number 9. And I don't think we can give Wax too much of a hard time for that. I thought that was somewhat fair. But Bonnie has also shown us, like, alright, some of these Europeans that you guys love so much, yes, they are good. But I'm Bonnie, okay? And there is a reason why I'm one of the best Terran players in the world. And for Bonnie, it's been such a beautiful year because he has been very unlucky. After Valencia, he got COVID, so he was forced to stay in Spain a little bit longer. I think he had a hand injury during one of the GSL seasons as well. So even though he's had an alright year, a top 8 finish at Katowice, but I will always think back of how well he was playing in Katowice. But then unfortunately on that Saturday, we had such a long day and Bonnie was forced to play the absolute last best of 5 of the day. I think we were closing in at 1 AM local time back then, so it's been a beautiful year for Bonnie, but a bit unlucky, and that's why I'm so happy to see that the stars have really aligned for him. But we're gonna find out who will be his opponent in the grand finals. He said he wants to play against herO. herO is showing us that he's clearly pretty good in this matchup, but it's funny because it's not that herO looks untouchable. herO is just really good in getting himself into an absolutely amazing position 5-6 minutes in. But then I can really think of a couple of other Protoss players in the world that are a lot better at closing out games. It's just that nobody is as good as herO in getting into those positions in the first place.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's not just this matchup, right? It's every matchup. He's seemingly so good at that early game. And don't get me wrong, he's good at the late game too. But a lot of these games, he's had such an economic lead that it's almost hard to lose it at that point. And here, we do see Maru opting for a very different style in that he SCV scouted his opponent immediately. And it was like, all right, you're playing a normal game here, a normal build order. I get to see the Stargate immediately. Ooh. And already, you know, got a few extra probes on this gas here. Doesn't want to lose them at the natural, obviously, but already,
Oh, both players having a misclick there. I saw the Adept shoot at the Assimilator. Now the Reaper shot at the Nexus. Reaper tries to go for the Juke, but that does not work out. And I see a Void Ray in production. I was going to play the guessing game with you, man. Was it going to be Phoenix or Oracle? It's a Void Ray. That brings me back to the Blackburn days where there was one Void Ray built. And I remember looking at, I don't know which pro game I was having a little debate with, but I'm like, and if you guys think this is good, and we're like, no, this is terrible. Like, this should never work. But the Voids had some success. This is wild, man. Why do we have a Void Ray? We have a Viking and a Cyclone on the way on the other side of the map. A couple of extra gateways. What does herO have in store for us? It's Void Ray into Phoenix. Does he think he's playing PvZ, or what's happening over here?
This is proper bizarre. Proper bizarre. I mean, it's great against a medevac drop if that's what they're going for, but even then, it's like, would I prefer a Void Ray or a couple of Phoenix dealing with that? I mean, the Phoenix just make more sense in every way, but he is going up to 3 gates very quickly.
He's clearly going to do something with this, right?
Yeah,
like maybe it's going to be like 4 gateway Void Phoenix, so he can use the Phoenix to like lift the Cyclone, and the Void Ray uses Prismatic Alignment, and the Void Ray is in range of the Viking as well. As the follow-up is a Raven. I often say, unless your name is Maru, you're not allowed to make a Raven against Protoss players that play Phoenix. Maru is very good in keeping this alive, but it does seem that herO is going to do for something that I think we can absolutely qualify as a cheese, but it doesn't mean it's an all-in cheese. It just means that he's going to do something weird as these two adepts let their shade finish up. And this is a very rough start for herO, and the Void Ray flies into a Widow Mine. Oh my goodness. Maru says the tables have turned. This time around, it's up to you to have a disastrous start, and that's a slow warp in, Benjamin. Slow warp in, stake forever. The Void Ray falls, the Stalkers fall, and this is as bad of a start as I have seen in a very, very long time. Nothing going herO's way. Maru has an absolutely perfect start here, and herO is going to be kicking himself for going for this in the first place.
Resources lost tab, please. Like, we got to see it. I think it's, yeah, I mean, that was phenomenal. He lost the Reaper, and that's about it. Gets to see the Phoenix follow up as well. Oh, even...
Oh, are you joking?
Oh, he went for the lower... He retargeted there.
Yeah,
he went to get
for
both
the
of them.
kill.
Yeah. I mean, look at herO's face. Like, he is not feeling it. And I mean, as good as the previous 2 games went for herO at the start, this might be equally as bad, if not worse, actually.
Yeah, this is very, very bad, because by investing in all these target units as well, you obviously delay your follow-ups. The follow-up seems to be a Twilight Council, and he goes charge right off the get-go. Now, Phoenix Charge is something I'm very fond of, man. I think it's very good in shutting down the first pushes of Terran players, but we don't have a whole lot of Phoenixes. One of the Phoenixes is super low on HP. The count is already lower, obviously, because we also went for a Void Ray. herO needs an absolute miracle to win this game. But hey, we saw that he has a hard time closing out a game. He loses another Phoenix, and that Widow Mine is still there. Please do not fly into that Widow Mine again. Ay, what a disaster of a game so far for herO.
Even warping in a lot of sentries here, which, you know, those sentries will be useful in a couple of minutes' time. They'll get more and more energy, but, I mean, this situation, it's just an absolute disaster. Like, that Phoenix count, their value.
This is not even Phoenix Zealot anymore. This is just Zealot. It's Zealot Sentry.
Yeah, Zealot Sentry, and that's it. I mean, he's going to start warping in some High Templars, but it's like, for what? Lovely scan here on this natural. Does get to see that it is Templar Archives. Loses his last Phoenix. I mean, resources lost tab again. Let's go. I mean, herO, he's just smiling a little bit. But that's a 20-to-1 like ratio. That is terrible in this army. I don't think he has any chance of slowing this down or stopping it.
57 army supply for Maru, 18 for herO. Now we know that Zealots are pretty good and stuff, but how good can 3 Zealots really be? I have the feeling that for the first time in the history since Shield Battery Overcharge has been introduced, Maru is safe to take a fight in range of Shield Battery Overcharge. This game has been a straight-up disaster for herO, who's going to try to make some magic happen with a Guardian Shield and a couple sentries, drops a force field. But I think no matter how good these force fields are, nothing will save him. And they are good, but Maru's micro is good as well. He goes for the hot pickups. We have an overcharge, but this Terran army, Ben, it's too big, it's too powerful, and we are going to a deciding Game 5.
Oh, we certainly are, and that's just what we want, right? The last pylon here at the third base goes down. The Arc on the left side is trying to deal damage, but that is just too much bio. Maru's going to tie things up here, and the smiling assassin, will he be smiling going into the 5th game here?
We had obviously a bit of a break. Players requested a break, and sometimes you wonder who comes better out of that break. Well, this break definitely was amazing for Maru, as this went, I think, better than in his wildest dreams. herO is going to still try to warp in a couple of extra Zealots, but the numbers are simply not there. The Widow Mine count is high. We have lost over 20 probes. To make things even worse, there is a Forge here that's going to get picked off, but there really is no hope at the end of the... There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no hope in this game. And I'm sure herO knows it. I think right now he's just using these moments to let everything that happened just kind of process. Let it sink in and be like, all right, let's start thinking already about the next game, because herO obviously knows that this game is super over. There is nothing he can do.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, Terran have a lot of ways to camp and be defensive with the siege tanks, the Widow Mines and stuff at Protoss. Not so much in the same way, at least not with this mix. These guys, they're slow. Pretty much all you can do with them is attack, move, and maybe some Warp Prism micro, but there's no Warp Prism on the field. I mean, he's warping in all... This is a nice shield battery, to be fair, but yeah, it's just too much, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely too much. He knows it too. He's just digesting the loss at the moment, and he's like, all right, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. We do have a few Zealots counterattacking, being annoying, but that's great if you have an army at home. But those Zealots, that is pretty much the army, as the interference matrix has pretty much made this Archon useless for the last 10 seconds. Few more Zealots warp in. The bio is a bit overstimmed, but Maru obviously knows that there is really nothing that can go wrong here. The writing is on the wall. We will get a Game 5 in our second semifinals, even though these Zealots find some success. But there is 1 High Templar and 1 Sentry, and not even in some special co-op mission are you going to turn something out of those units. GG gets called. Maru wins Game 4 after herO just had an absolutely disastrous start. And it all started which I feel like was the accidental shade, right? I don't think he meant to do that, and if he did meant to do that, then he clearly miscalculated where the units of Maru would be, and then kind of as a panic response to trying to save those adepts that clearly went too deep, they were way behind enemy lines. That's when he flew the Void Ray into the Widow Mine. That meant that the Void Ray had no potential. One of the Phoenixes was a bit too far forward. It was just a bit of a train wreck of an attack.
Yeah, we get to see it all unfold right here. And I mean, that Void Ray, maybe it could have got the Cyclone Kill amidst that, and maybe the Viking as well. But even then, you're really hoping, like, the whole combo, though, of units, I'd love to see how it did all together with the true timing.
I can definitely see this kind of stuff work out, just because as a Terran player, this is not a build that you're worried about. This is not something you think about. So I can definitely see the Cyclone being a bit too far forward. The Phoenix will lift it, the Void Ray activates Prismatic Alignment. Then it's a nice mix between Stalkers and Adept that can start working on the Marine count. There is a universe where I can absolutely see a build like this be successful. It's just that it was very disoriented. The units were all over the place. They were out of sync, and Maru basically picks up a free win in game 4.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's also kind of one of those builds that I can imagine, yeah, back in the day when I was playing, Spirit would come to me, hey, Ben, what do you think about this build? I'm like, no, it's terrible, man. And he's like, no, it's great, right? It's great. And then he tries it out, and he's like, yeah, you're right. It wasn't that good, actually. But that's one of the reasons we don't see Void Ray that much in general, just because if you take a fight with it, you have to commit. And yeah, everything just went super wrong here. I'm hoping for Game 5 that both these players can have everything work out for them absolutely properly, and they head into the rest of the game with everything flowing as they did want it. And Tropical Sacrifice, what a way to finish it off.
It's one of the bigger maps, and more often than not the Protoss players are kind of happy with that because it opens the doors for run-bys, and we know that Protoss players love Zealot and DT's run-bys, but that is something for in the future. For the last time here in the semifinals, we're gonna make some noise for this man in the bottom left side, representing On-Site Gaming. This is Maru.
And maybe not for one final time this evening, it is gonna be herO. It all comes down to just this one map between them. 2-2 apiece. The rivalry that's kept on building over the last year. Who will win out of the best Protoss in the world? The best Terran, we're going to see.
Both players once more made it into the semifinals of the DreamHack Masters Valencia as well. Back then, herO lost a nail-biter 2-3 against Dark. Maru did manage to win his semifinals. I'm sure if you're herO, you do start thinking back about that. Even if you don't want to, and you're laser focused on the task that is ahead of you, you're still like, oh, not again, please. Like, not again. Not another 2-3 in the semifinals. Because everybody wants an opportunity to play in a grand finals. We saw how much it meant to Bunny. And it really has been a long time that we had such a cool, awesome live crowd. We absolutely love it here in Atlanta. And we are very far away, but every single time we see you guys having fun, we see you guys making noise, all the casters, it just kind of lights up the room. We're all smiling, we're all happy. And I'm sure that these players would be more than happy to put on a great show on that stage in the grand finals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, herO was the first Protoss that came along in like 5-6 years to actually lift the GSL title for Protoss players out there. And for a long time before that, before he even went to the military, it was also one of those players that suffered a lot of crushing defeats in finals appearances. I remember many IEMs, that very famous one of the $100,000 for first place, 0 for nothing. herO was the man that fell down 4-0 to SOS in the finals. But here, he's looking better than he has done in a long time in his career. And in fact, I think this last year, it's been the best year he's had.
He also won a lot of finals though, right? Because he
definitely won a few IEMs.
Yeah, he won IEM after IEM. Like, I remember Carmack coming up to us like, why does herO always win our tournaments? I was like, well, he is very good, Carmack. What can I say?
Yeah, I mean, he is ridiculously good. Like, I remember the CJ days as well. I know the Pro League days were a lot about who's going to win, SKT or KT, but herO was absolutely a contender for one of the bigger, better players in that league for as long as it went on.
One of that makes it to the other side of the map. He's gonna go for his shade just to get a scout off, and we'll see that Maru is building the command center on the low ground. It's obviously information that you'd love to work with as a Protoss player. You see Double Reaper, you see a Hellion. It is important that this Adept does not go down for nothing. It gets a shut off. Second Adept is going to show up, maybe cancel the shade. 2 Adepts, we obviously saw them have a great fight against Double Reaper, Hellion on Waterfall. Maru needs to make sure that does not happen all over again, as he does end up losing a Reaper very quickly. And I think even this Hellion ban is going to be in a bit of trouble. The Adepts are going to shade on top of it. Beautiful split fire there by herO, that he doesn't overkill on the Hellion, but he does end up losing one of the adapts, and that's going to make Maru's life a little bit easier, but herO will still get the SCV.
He certainly will. herO he uses these two adepts really well. I mean, Maru was sleeping a little bit there, right? He let the adepts,
Reaper.
Yeah, he let the adepts get on top there, and a third joins the field here, and that Widowmine is just out of position. Another SCV does fall here. He is playing very carefully around this Widowmine as well.
This fight as well, so it can get a few more shots up, but there is a Widowmine, and I hope that herO did not forget about it. I wonder if herO is going to try to let the Widowmine shoot at the adept. Something that Protoss players can pull off, but I guess at this point there is no real follow-up, so he doesn't care about letting that Widowmine fire. Maru needs to be careful with 3 Marines. He will eventually be able to get on top of this. There is still 1 low HP SCV. Okay, herO is going to cancel the Shade. Maru is obviously spending a lot of time chasing this adept. Meanwhile, 4 gateways have gone up at home robotics facility. Blink is more than 65% done. I mean, herO is start not as good in Inside and Out and Waterfall, but this has to be a start again that you're more than happy with. And the Raven, I feel like it's not the perfect unit against the build that herO is doing.
It isn't. Like, if he survives, he's going to be in decent shape. Maru already establishing a bunker. I'd imagine that has to be in the natural base, right? Like, otherwise he's got some crazy sixth sense going on. Okay, it is in the natural, and he will start forming a wall at the front there, which is nice by him. herO will be very aggressive this game. That pylon, by the way, going up in a very good location.
Oh, this probe is big. It's going to give herO a bit of a heads up that the medevac is heading into the natural. There is 1 Stalker. Where are the other Stalkers? These Widowmines are not going to be permanently cloaked because there is no armory. Maru goes for the Umburo, but that means... Okay. Oh, now he's going to go for the retarget. He's doing a very good job in buying time. herO needs to be careful. The probes want to come back. Maru is so good with the retarget there. And in the end, herO, because he's a bit busy dealing with all of this, doesn't even blink the Stalker away. Warp Prism already on the other side of the map. The amount of value, man, that these world-class Terran players can get out of 1 Widowmine is silly.
Equally so, world-class Protoss players with the Adepts early on, you know, like they're both playing phenomenally here. They're doing everything with every little resource that they have. Maru knows what he's up against now. That Widowmine was absolute juice, though. 8 probe kills go down, 1 to the first Stalker. Lots of loss of mining time, but that is a healthy amount of Stalkers.
Yep, there is a tank, but the tank just repositioned. That means it's not siege up yet. Will herO go for the tank? The answer is yes. Second tank just popped, but that tank is in range of all the Stalkers, and Maru loses 2 tanks against the first Blink and the Raven. Oh no, what a sad moment for Maru to reposition that tank. And now it's gonna feel like a century before tank number 3 comes out. Even though Maru had an absolutely perfect Widowmine shuttle on the other side of the map, Ben, he is in all sorts of trouble. This is a ridiculous amount of Stalkers. herO can micro these Stalkers for days, and I think this could very well be it. Stim is nowhere near done. Maru is forced to pull SCVs from the natural, but he is taking a ludicrous amount of damage.
He's got no firepower in the mix. I mean, even the medevac on the other side of things gets sniped. I mean, the Widowmine goes off again, but that's a blink. That's a game victory blink right there. The tank pops out, gets a few shots off, but it goes down. Maru, you can see it on his face right now. It's a painful, painful moment. And GG, herO moves on to the grand finals to go up against Bunny. Oh my goodness, and Maru, he lets the defeat sink in. What a series by herO.